They keep telling us hybrids are all the rage, but I cannot disagree strongly enough. Maybe they're good for a transition. Maybe they're good for now. Maybe they're good for someone who needs to go an insane distance, but I'm just not convinced. Let's have a chat about that. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. So I got Randy Kirk here because he knows a couple things, I'm told. We'll find out if that's true today. In the comments, you can let me know, does Randy know anything except how to rock a shirt that looks like that?
I've always been a clothes horse. It's my broad shoulders. It's
all right. Well, that's great. So we got that out of the way. Folks, we're doing good. We're off to a great start. Yeah, so let's jump over here. EV demand crumbles. What's pushing buyers back to hybrids? You've seen this, haven't you?
I have. In fact, Larry Goldberg has apparently done an extremely deep dive into this, which I have not yet had a chance to visit in depth with him about. But it is, it's crazy that the hybrids are managing some kind of a revival.
What's causing it?
What is causing it? I think fear.
I think fear is one. I think there's a combination of factors, but the biggest one is people buy what you're selling. And if you're not selling EVs, at least not in a competitive, compelling way, you can't sell them. You know, you can't offer me a $70,000 equivalent to your $35,000 car and then act surprised when I don't buy it.
Well, Brian, I know you've had some sales background, and basically I consider my number one job in life has always been to sell things. I've been selling my entire life. And if I'm a salesman in a dealership and somebody comes in and wants to buy one of my EVs, and I have been hearing from the people that I sold my previous EVs to, they're coming back in, they're yelling and screaming at me that there's no place to get their cars charged. And when they get to the places to get them charged, they're not working, or they're working poorly, or it takes an hour to get the car charged. And they're very unhappy and upset with me about selling them a car that can't get charged. Well, I'm not going to continue to push that vehicle. It's not going to happen.
So I'm going to tell you right now, car salesmen are a different breed. They don't care about the next sale. They only care about this one. And if the margin ain't there, they ain't going to sell it. And if they can't sell all the aftermarket nonsense that you don't need, they ain't going to sell it. I had a commenter tell me, ask, is this legit? My brother-in-law, somebody went to a GM dealer, was looking at buying an Equinox, and they said, oh, you really need to buy the twice yearly undercarriage cleaning to prevent corrosion. It's a modern day version of rust proofing. And I thought, oh my gosh, these guys are still pushing junk. So they just don't care. I think it's because the margin isn't there. So if we look back at this chart, we'll see this. Well, look, if you look, sales are down. Market share change, negative 0.1%. Guys, that's, first of all, that's a blip. Second of all, you're only selling hybrids. Hybrids can have more range. They typically have more range. What is the maximum amount of range you think someone should be willing to ask for? Give me a crazy number.
Ask for. Wow, that's an interesting one. Well, I used to care about range on my cars because I didn't like to go to a gas station.
Yeah.
But let's assume that I'm perfectly happy to go into a smelly place with a bunch of people I don't know and, put some kind of a flammable liquid into my car while waiting, and then go in and buy overpriced product in the store. Anyway, let's assume all of that's really fun. Then the range that I think I would like to have would be, probably 250, 300 miles, about as, yeah.
But what is the range, the maximum range like if someone's, what is the first number where you would tell someone you're crazy?
Oh, I guess 500.
Have you seen that?
My Jag said 2 tanks. My Jag said 2 tanks, and I would still, run out of gas. But it's like, but 400 miles, 500 miles is ridiculous. I mean, it's kind of silly.
BYD's got a new ultra long range hybrid coming out. Yeah. 2 of them. Yeah. How long's the range?
I have no idea.
1,300 miles.
1,300 miles.
So basically what it's got is a battery and like a 35 gallon tank.
Yeah. 35-gallon tank.
Yeah. Now, mind you, the 1,300 miles is on not even the WLTP standard, but the new CTLT standard.
Mm.
So it's a Chinese, it's not a real widely accepted standard. BYD's new hybrids don't care about your bladder. And one of these articles said, forget bringing a bottle to pee in, bring a case of them before you have to recharge it. Fifth generation DM plug-in hybrid. It's got two models, the Chin LDMI and the Seal 06 DMI, both with ridiculously impressive 81.1 miles per gallon. Now, it's a standard that's not as conservative as the EPA rating. Knock a bit off that. Let's say it's even 60 miles to the gallon. Getting to 1,200 miles that way, you only need 20 gallons. So it's probably 25, 30 gallon tank plus a battery. It's probably a 20, 25 gallon tank plus a battery and ridiculous efficiency.
Yeah.
And if this doesn't allay your concerns about range, nothing will. But it is still a hybrid. That's a lot of range, man.
So I would assume that this is kind of one of those headline, just a shocking headline. It's designed to get you to say, "Oh my gosh, see, they're the best."
Well, it would be, except the claims aren't insane. We just did the math. It's a 25 gallon tank.
Oh no, I'm not saying that it's insane. I'm not saying that they won't work, that it won't do it. I'm saying that they don't care whether anybody actually ever needs that. It's basically
Yes.
yes.
I'm sure some people will buy it just because.
Yes.
Because why not? Why not?
But well, the longest trip I've ever gone on in a single day was 1,100 miles from LA to Portland. Two drivers. And we still switched off, so we had to stop for switching off. We still needed meals.
You wouldn't get 1,100 miles at highway speed in this, I guarantee you, because the China light duty vehicle test cycle is certainly a city test. It's certainly, we're talking, forget aero drag, forget,
Right.
all that, and get a lot of regen in between. So I think this would be, it could be as much as 30% higher, but even so, 70% of 1,300 is still 900 miles of range. Again, 20 gallon tank, 45 miles to the gallon, you're there.
Yeah.
And Honda hybrids get about 44 miles to the gallon for the Accord.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not crazy, but who in their right mind needs that kind of range? Now, of course, who is the biggest selling EV maker in the world?
BYD.
Tesla scored a win against BYD. Tesla still managed to knock out global EV sales. Now, BYD is soaring, but they're doing it on the backs of hybrids,
Yes.
Which I guess would be like riding a Minotaur. Yeah, that's what it is. No, a Centaur.
Centaur.
I mean, you could get a piggyback ride from a Minotaur. I don't mind. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to call you out on it, but it would be a whole different show we'd be doing, I think, at that point. So I guess my question, Randy, is, you read some of these things, you wonder what the reality is and what's myth. I don't know if you've ever heard something that you really believed was true and then later found out, my teacher was wrong. I learned all kinds of stuff in middle and high school that I grew up to find out was wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard the myth about spiders. Did you know? And this is true. The average adult in their sleep eats 8 pounds of spiders per year. That's true. I checked, and it's that's a fact. I decided, and it's not just that like. And it is 8. Is it 8 or 8 pounds? I think it's 8 pounds of spiders a year. And
even eight would be interesting.
It's not that everyone eats that many spiders. It's that there's one guy who really brings up the average. When he dies, and he will, it's going to drop back down to a more reasonable number, like 0. But he's got a hunger, and his sleep demon needs to feed. So, what are you going to do? Hybrids, man.
Well, okay. So I had but like the coolest range ever. This range had combination stove, range, microwave, the whole setup. It was so automated. It was so techy. It was so fancy and forward. And the thing was always breaking down. Always. And everything that broke down was, $80, for the guy to come and look. And then it was $300 for a motherboard, and then it was $500 for a fatherboard, and $1,200 for the kids' boards. I mean, it was
Well,
it
there are
was
daughter boards. Yeah.
it was horrible. And so what one of the repairmen who became my appliance guy told me, he says, buy appliances that have no gadgets and no gizmos and no techie stuff, and they'll last
Right.
you forever without repair. Well, there's no car in the world that has more gadgets and gizmos and techie stuff than a hybrid. You've got two entirely different drivetrains. You've got all kinds of things that can go wrong. Why would anybody want to do that to themselves?
I saw a guy who bought a Bluetooth toaster. For what purpose? For what? I mean, you need to be there to put the bread in. Do you put it in the night before to get stale first? Are you making croutons? I don't understand. Maybe that's where all the spiders get their nourishment.
That could be it.
Probably. Probably. It doesn't make sense. The thing is, do you think that if everyone switched to EVs today, that there would be enough batteries to go around today? Because I don't think there would. I think that this transition is critical. I think that these hybrids need to exist today, because if we went with pure EVs, we'd still have more fuel being burnt.
Well, the limited factor, the limiting, the limiting factor. No,
The limiting factor is Jordan Kesegi.
Yes, the name of the game.
He's the reason that everything is limited. It's
Yes,
unfortunate, but
but he did the analysis, and he said that by 2028, 2029, we could be fully switched over to electric vehicles and barely make it with regard to lithium batteries. And that was before all of these new changes and capabilities in lithium, adding in the new possibilities of these other chemistries. So yeah, I think that was my goal originally, was 2027 was 100% electric vehicles. I don't think we're going to make it. What do you think?
so I think that, as I recall, the video was saying that there would be enough minerals by 27, not enough battery factories by 27.
I think we have. I think we have enough batteries.
We'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
It's a lot of batteries. It's a lot of batteries. Guys, in the comments, what did we miss? What do we misunderstand? All that good stuff. If you feel like helping me out, you can. There are ways to do it. You can use my referral code. Get $1,000 off the purchase of Yo New Tesla. How cool is that? Or, leave me a couple bucks on one of these, Patreon, YouTube, or X. All of it works, I'm told. But who knows? Everybody else, like, subscribe, stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots when you head over to Randy Kirk's channel and harass him with comments saying how awesome Brian is.